Okay, we are painting giant necron overlord, shading and edge highlighting. So yeah, we're gonna bring in the box here, kind of give a little overview of what we're doing, and put a little perspective on it. Boom, there we have it. So, as what you can see, what we have is our Necron Overlord, which is sitting on the desk, and we are going to do some shading. We're going to do some washes on there, and then we're going to do some edge highlighting to see if we can't create some depth. Hey, we got George here. George is back in the mix. Good to see you, George. So, yeah, it is quite the interesting thing. Had a few technical difficulties. I don't know if you remember yesterday's stream. Daughter came over, so we finished some stuff up. And once again, I forgot to give this to my daughter. So got sidetracked and she took off. And it's like one of these days. But she's got to bring me some stuff. So I probably ought to set that out by the front door, little hallway table. So that way I won't forget that. So anyway, that's what we got going on. It is Thursday, the 12th of March here in Korea. Pretty socked in. Man, we had some fog come in, and it is, I mean, you can barely see anything outside. It's supposed to be warm today. It's currently 33. It's supposed to get up to about 53, 55, somewhere around there. It's supposed to be sunny after 9 o'clock. I don't know. It says now sunny, but it's socked in with fog, so we'll see what happens. But the rest of the week is supposed to be low 50s. Around Tuesday and Wednesday, we're supposed to get up to like 57. Then we'll go back down, by next Saturday, 52. So winter is still trying to rear its ugly head from time to time. Get, cold, breeze, wind makes it even colder. So yeah, it is quite the thing. So it's a good thing that we're doing 3D printing and we are staying inside. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll head over to the table and we can see our Necron dude. And we want to get our want to get the tablet going. So we got that. So if we got any comments, and I need to adjust a little bit. There we go. Okay. So what we end up having is our Necron Lord, and what we ended up doing is we did the bits of gold and everything. I did the weapons bronze, and we did the brown on here as well, which is a brown wash. But I think what we're going to have to end up doing is we need to do some edge highlighting to create some depth. And yeah, it definitely needs that. So we're going to do that with a little bit of silver. Let me adjust the camera. And I think that'll be good, as I should be painting about right there. Oh, and then we did our, there is our 3D print on our little Necron terrain piece there. And we did a little bit of dry brushing to kind of get some, from the black to a little bit of a gray dry brush and to bring out some of the details. So we did a little work on that. So that was good. So with this guy, what we're going to end up doing, I really need to dig out my palette, my silicone palette thing out of my bag, but it's all crusted up and I haven't cleaned it. Maybe I'll do that today. I don't know. Today's what, Thursday? Today's Thursday. So today's paint day at the game store. So we'll look forward to that. Excuse me. Alrighty, so I think the first thing we're going to end up doing, we got CG Cake Smash. Nice, caught your stream. Ignore my nickname. It's an inside joke. Thanks for sharing your Korea videos. You're welcome. Yeah. We're going to continue on. Not only being in Korea, for those who don't know, I'm retired here in Korea, and we're doing some 3D printing stuff and painting. So I think the first thing we're going to end up doing is we're going to apply a wash, and we'll kind of darken up some of these areas because this is just too bright, and we want to put some wash in here. And I'm not sure if I want to do a dark wash, because we've got Vallejo dark wash, which is kind of a black wash, and then we've got the brown wash. The brown wash is what we ended up with this here on his kind of like these armor panels and stuff like that, and the shins, and so it came out really brown. So I don't know if we're going to use that, because I want something to darken up this gold. So we're going to try. It's going to be a little loud, a little rumbly. My vortex shaky thingy. Cake Spashes, bless you. Thank you. And we'll try some of this and we'll see how this works out. So we'll just do a couple drops. And I think what we can end up doing, let's just try the back of this here on his head. And we want to damp our brush. Just load that up a little bit. And then we'll kind of bring this in. Wow, that is dark. That is extremely dark. You know what we might have to do? Let's wipe that off. That is like too dark. Let's see if we can add some water to this and lighten that up a little bit. And see what we can get here. Okay, a little bit of a lighter, maybe a little bit. And what we can end up doing is try to get in some of those recesses, we'll get a little bit of darkness in there, and on some of those areas we can kind of get a little bit of a gradient, so it'll pool in some of those areas. And if you can see that, I'll darken it up a tiny bit. See how that works out. Again, we're no professional painters in any way, shape, or form. So we're winging it here. So we're gonna see what we can come up with. And yeah. Because this is going to be like our practice piece for our Necron army. And we can build up a little bit on there. So you can see where it kind of pools down there. And so we can get kind of a darker on the bottom. I can see if that works out. I'll just get a little bit on the edges there. And I I think we should be okay. So what we'll end up doing is go here a little bit. Maybe we can get in a little bit. I'll do the same thing on this side. And we can add in like more along the bottom so we get kind of a darker on the bottom. Not that much. Get that off of his face. And we'll see how that turns out. I don't know. It'll be interesting. We can kind of see how that goes. Kind of create a little bit of pooling, I think. We'll give it a shot. Again, not a professional, but we'll see what we can do. I don't know, that might be too much. You know, you just kind of suck a little bit out of there. Just, oop, that was probably a bit too much. Took out too much. And so that way, I don't know, we'll see how that turns out with that. It'll give a little bit of a different color. And we'll see how that goes. I think some of the stuff we could end up down here, we can just kind of mute some of this. We'll do some of the gold down here. Kind of darken that up just a wee bit. And so we can kind of darken that belt up a little bit. So, yeah, that is going to pull up just a hair, bit more than I want. But I still want a tiny bit. Along that line. So hopefully that'll dry out well and we can get some pretty decent color in there. Other than that, I think we're good to go on that. And the other thing we could end up trying is doing a little bit of this brown wash and see if that's going to be worth doing. Since my lid is broken, we'll just kind of load this up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Now this is, you know, we could do. I'll just mix this right up here, because that brown wash was really kind of dark brown. So we'll just kind of, we'll see if this is something that we want to do. So I need just a little test area. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Maybe a little darker. That brown wash, it mutes it a little bit. I think could work. Kind of like on that piece there. That'll mute it a little bit. Maybe this will work. We'll see how that goes. That'll be something we can try. But we'll definitely need to tone that down a bit. We'll just put a little bit on the actually just kind of do that whole hand and see how that works. Give it a little bit of a different color. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, that'll work a little bit. Kind of like that, it does mute it out a little bit. I don't know, and with the dark, I don't know. It's kind of drying up and we're not really getting a lot off of that. Interesting. Maybe, I think what we'll do is we'll just run with the brown. And we'll do that. On our gold. I think that'll turn out okay. And let's just hit this. This brown might be worth doing. I'll tone down that gold a lot. Add some, it's already trying to pool where we want it. I think that'll work out. Give it a little bit of an aged look. That's kind of what we want. Again, this is just kind of like a test piece to see what we want to do with our Necron combat patrol. Try to figure out the paint scheme. There's a lot there. Well, it gets a kind of a gold bronzy type of look. Then we can always go back, we can add a little bit more color or some pooling into some of those areas where we would see a little bit of darkness added. I like that. I like that color better than the than the dark wash. So I think we'll just hit this thing up with that. I think we could end up doing this. We can just kind of blot a little bit with our finger. Yeah, I think that'll be a better color with that than that. I like that better than the dark wash. So we will run with that. And then the other thing we can do once we do this is after all this dries, we can add some more colors to this by doing some edge highlighting. Of course, we'll have to wait for that to dry. But even with putting all that on there, yeah, it looks a little better. I think it'll work. But going back to my old videos, my original channel was called Safe Arms Review, where I did gun and gear reviews, and the channel was going well. I got monetized. I was making about $400 or $500 a month. At the peak, I was on a TV show, Armageddon Arsenal, so that was kind of cool. And then there was that one school shooting that popped up, and that just kind of ended it all. And YouTube didn't like the smaller gun channels, and so I started getting strikes on some of my videos, and because guns were suddenly not cool. So, and eventually I had like false copyright claims on my videos, and then I get those, and then of course you're guilty until proven innocent. So there was that, and that was fun. We're just going to do the center of these. We'll see how this looks. We can just kind of draw in some areas here. We're going to do that. Hopefully we'll see if that turns out. But yeah, the channel ended up getting, almost got demonetized. And eventually YouTube came up with an ultimatum and said, if you don't get rid of your videos, we're going to demonetize you. So basically I was left with, okay, I guess I gotta get rid of everything. So we'll see how this turns out with that. And yeah, so that was quite the fun thing. Not really. And rebranded the channel, did some drone videos. Excuse me. And then after that, it was, I don't know, I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. Had to work on myself and get counseling and some other stuff that I put off for ages that I should have done earlier, but okay, if I can see that in there, we'll see how that dries and see if we can get a little bit of gradient on there. I'll just kind of put a little bit more on this. Like I said, I'm just trying to make it load that up a little bit more. Okay, so hopefully that little wash area will turn out a little bit better. I'm getting some little bit of gradient colors on there. I'll have to go back and we'll do more on this. We'll get some more pooling and try to get some shadows in there, but and maybe we'll even add a little bit more. Add some dark in there as well. Maybe we can get some a little bit more depth or contrast. I don't know. We can try it and see. George says, the appeal system is crap on YouTube because you have to dox yourself to the person who filed the claim. Yeah, it's not really a... Same thing with Facebook. You're kind of left with, you're guilty until proven innocent. So, and that's what ended up on YouTube as well. I was getting like video copyright claims on my videos. And because certain people didn't like me or didn't like my videos or my political beliefs or religious beliefs or, you know, whatever. And then, yeah, the whole problem with that, and I proved that because I started making videos with no audio, you know, no music, and I would get copyright claims. And it's like out of a Handycam camera that I was filming myself on. And it was like, this can't be true because here I'm using a Handycam videoing myself and posting it, you know, and it's just me. It was like there's nobody else in the shot. That's why I was doing my shooting videos, and yet I was getting copyright claims. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't work. So. So yeah, it was kind of jacked up, to say the least. Hopefully this will dry and we'll kind of get that darker in the middle, lighter on the edge. We'll see how that goes. So kind of on the, you can see a little bit on there how it is given a little bit of that different. That's still drying. I think now what we can end up doing is we can go through and maybe we can do some edge highlighting on some of these brown areas. We could do like a silver to where the light would hit all that. So, for some silver, how about we do some plate mail? So yeah, and then of course back then, at least you could contact a real person at YouTube, but then you're left with their bias. And if they're biased against you, you're just kind of screwed to begin with. So that's kind of what ended up happening. And then now it's gotten even worse because now everything is automated, especially on Facebook. Holy crow. You can put in a complaint for hate speech or whatever, and they automatically suspend you without even looking at the content, without looking at the context. And then you have to make an appeal, and it's like, I didn't say anything wrong. I just stated facts. So unfortunately, that leads to a place where you have to block people so that way you don't get screwed. So I don't know how good AI is going to be, because you can't talk to a real person. Just do a little bit. I think that was a little bit much. So I'll have to add in a little bit of water. That was a little thick. Thick is good sometimes, but not with paint. Okay, I think we'll use a smaller brush here. You want to get all the, just load it up a little bit. And what we can end up doing is just kind of like right along these edges. We just want to, let's see. And just kind of do that. And just hit some. Making it even, add in that little bit of silver there on some of that edging. On those corner areas. So that'll really, I know it's kind of small and minute, but we can see that little edging there that we got. That's what we're kind of going for. So I just take a little bit along that edge and just make some little bit of line on there. Just to give it a little bit of definition. I'll just put a tiny bit on there. I think we're good on that. And you can see a little bit of lines that we put on there that kind of bring out a little bit more. And it breaks up that, all of that brown. And that's what we want. Now the rib cage is going to be interesting because we got a couple of areas. And it's kind of like right at the angle where it's, yeah, so there we can see on the rib cage there a little bit of a line, and then we can just put like a little bit of dot on there to kind of like highlight where the light would just kind of bounce off of that a little bit. And then we could continue on, and on the top of those ribs, where'd you go, hon? Oh. So there we can see the difference between those ribs versus those ribs. So we get the little lines on there. Looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. So we'll do the same thing on this side. And the same thing, we'll just put a little bit of silver. Just a little bit more. Yeah, that looks good. And then on those top edge there, and so there, little tiny details. That looks pretty good, I think. Kind of breaks that up. It puts a little bit of sparkle on there, and yeah, we can continue on and do some more edge highlighting, and we'll do that there. There. And even though we're not going to have light down here, we'll still edge it out a little bit. And even on the bottom, even though no one's probably going to see this. It just gives me another chance to practice a little bit. So, do a little bit there. So yeah, we can get that in there. Nice, nice, nice. Like I said, edging is good. Edging is good. That kind of breaks up some of that. Put probably a little bit too much on there, but that's okay. Just add a slight line on there. Kind of follow that edge underneath. Alrighty, I think we're good. And we could do the edging there too. So yeah, nice. Do the same thing on this side. And I'll get a little bit in there. And of course these areas underneath, probably not a lot of people are going to look at that with this much. But at least with this, I'm able to practice. And hopefully get better. And honestly, I don't think anybody's going to look under here, but I think we're good on that. Oh, we got in there. Okay. And some straight lines too. That's nice. And since I can't really get in there, I'll just do it along the bottom here. Okay, cool. Alrighty, looking better. Hungry. Okay. We're getting pretty good here. And I guess we can do that too. So yeah, we're getting some edge highlighting in here. Kind of break up some of the colors. I think we need a little bit more there. Okay, so you can see we got some edge highlighting done on some of those areas. Try to break up some of the mass amounts of brown that we have by doing some edge highlighting. Which makes it look a little bit better, and we could even go through and we could put a little bit on some other areas. I guess we can do some feet too. Let's see. This is going to be interesting. That was kind of a thick line. Yeah, that was a little thick on that one. Okay, so we're getting there. We are getting there. Okay, that works. I'll do the same thing on this one. Careful, careful. We gotta head to Costco today. And yes, they have Costco in Korea. We're actually gonna go to Costco because we're gonna cancel our membership because we just don't use it enough. Okay, so George says he's never been to Costco. Never been. Imagine that. So we got the little bit of edge highlighting that you can see there. Kind of breaks up some of the color on some of this. And just the silver catches the light, so it looks like it's really just, just bouncing off of there. The light is bouncing off, and that's kind of that's the thing that we want to do. We just hitting, stuff like that, and then that makes a really pronounced light source. I guess we could do a little swipe there a little bit. Maybe a little bit more on that one. So yeah, it kind of breaks up the details, and we've got a little bit more going on with that. So yeah, come along better. I'm not sure what I want to do with these hieroglyphic things. Interesting. And then if we wanted to, we could even come in here and we could kind of do a little bit of highlighting on like some of these tips or corners, and just kind of accentuate some of that, and just with a slight line, so you can see how that turns out. So it's just not all gold. Get a little bit of a line in there. And just kind of get that going. And the same thing, we can just kind of get some of these areas. It's just not a real fine, not a real hard line on there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we're doing okay. Not bad, not bad. So, kind of see where it kind of, the light kind of catches that a little bit of edge there. We can just kind of hit that up a little bit. I'll speed that one up a little bit, but well, it's the back. So yeah, we got a little bit of silver on there. And we screwed up a little bit there, but not too worried about that. So, yeah, gives a little bit of depth, a little bit of highlight to that. So not bad, I think. So I think that'll work out okay. And if we continued on, we reconstitute some of this a little bit. It's kind of drying out. I think we did. And then we could come along and we could do the same thing on kind of like the panel. I think I'm going to need some paint, but we can add a little bit on there. On the top ridge of that. And then down that. And then we can do the same thing on here as well. Just some of those top areas that might be worn. There's a bit much, but so yeah, we're doing our panel lining, a little bit of, not panel lining, but our edge highlighting. And so that way we can get a little bit of and then we could go through and we could do the same thing on the kind of like the just on that little bit of edge there. So there we can see on how that turns out, which is kind of good. Am I going to have enough? Do that other side. I think so. So yeah, I think we're going to be good with that. And so there, it's a very slight difference on putting that edge highlighting in there, but it just kind of catches your eye, there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, we could go through and we could add just a little bit on that side, I guess. I'm so close to running out. And so we've got that there. So we've got the gold, we got the silver, the gold, and then back to silver. And you could see on the on those where it's got the edging on that top shoulder pad area. This turns out pretty good. And we could even do a little bit on the top of that, on that ridge there. Kind of break that up. Catch that edge. On that second edge, it's right there. I'd have to get some more paint, but you can see how we get that top edge on there, on that shoulder pad. So again, a little bit of glint off of that. We could continue and we could do that. But anyway, I think we did good for this. Turned out fairly well. So if we zoom in here, you can end up saying we've got pretty good amount of work that we got done on him with the edge highlighting and everything. And I think that turned out well. Kind of broke up some of the areas on him, but we've got more pronounced, you know, light where the silver hits and everything. So I think that worked out pretty good. Yeah. Not bad, huh? I think we did good on him. So I think we are at a place where we can call it good for now, for this session, because I am hungry and I need to get some breakfast. The only thing I had so far was my latte. And my tablet turned off. Seriously? Pyrochrona says hello. Welcome to the stream. My tablet turned off. Sorry, I didn't see that. But yeah, we're doing pretty good. So we're just finishing up on this part. So there's that. And I think what we'll end up doing is calling this good. Let's see, can we zoom in a little bit more? I think we can. So if you can see the little bit too much silver on that one spear, or that one part horn-like thing on the far right, but you can see where we've got the edge highlighting in there, and it kind of broke up some of those other areas. So let's see, it's as good as, so yeah, I think we did good. So break up some of the massive silver that we've got, but yeah, not bad at all. So yeah, there it is. What we ended up doing is going through and checking out our necron dude, or Overlord, and yeah, I think we are good. We're good on that. Okay. So what we ended up doing, we painted our giant Necron Overlord because the real one is probably maybe that tall. That guy was printed on the Creality K2 Plus, so we've got that. And we did shading, we did some edging, try to create some depth, some highlights, which is always good. If you always have that, at least what I'm learning is that if you just wash everything, it's just going to be that same color. So a little bit of highlighting on there really kind of breaks things up, and you can kind of catch the light and things like that. So let's see, we got Pyrochrona is aboard. Hello. And then we all, oh, Euladamus looks nice. Did you do a wash? Yes, I did. Yeah. We ended up doing a wash on some of the armor and the side panels that were gold, and then we went back and we added a little bit more. We ended up doing a light brown wash, and then as you can see there, we did some silver edging and highlighting on some of those edges, so that way we could break up those pieces on his thighs, the thigh armor and the shins, and then we did some stuff up top to kind of get the glint of silver, mimicking the light off of that there. So yeah, turned out pretty good. I think it worked out well. Again, still learning to paint and do all those cool things, so I just kind of watch YouTube videos and I try to copy what other great people do in their painting, and I'm coming along at a slow pace, but it's working. So I'll take anything I can get. We'll continue on with that. Oh, and the other thing, I got my box, my Necrons, the Combat Patrol box. Yes, we've got it. So this is going to be another thing. 19 items on this bad boy, and like I said, like all of these guys down here are like 32 millimeters, and maybe the base is like another 5. So you're looking at maybe what, maybe 40 millimeters tall. So yeah, looking forward on doing that, and we'll see how well these guys turn out. Of course, on the back it looks a little bit better. You can kind of see what's going on there. So it'll be an interesting endeavor there on trying to paint all these up. So yeah, we definitely got that cool stuff. And then we'll continue on with our Necron army and our Combat Patrol and our big Necron Overlord. So we'll do that. Should be good. And like George says, some assembly required. Euladamus says has good contrast. Thank you. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. Slowly but surely I'm getting there. But I think that's going to be it. Like I said, we're going to be heading out to Costco because we live here in Korea, and honestly, we don't use Costco that much. We thought we would, but honestly, we don't, and it's just not worth paying the money for to have the membership. Here in Korea, you have to have a membership to go into Costco, so we did that thinking we would use it more, but honestly, we don't. So we're going to cancel that, and then we go to a place like Traders, which is a Costco type similar store. They have a membership price and a regular price. So if you're not a member, you pay the regular price, and if you're a member of Traders, then you get a little bit of a discount. But we do more shopping at Traders than we do Costco, maybe because it's closer. And yeah, the Costco in Pyeongtaek is just kind of it's okay. It's nothing to write home about. we just don't shop enough there to justify it. So we're going to be doing that today. Like I said, the weather's supposed to be 55 degrees today. We'll see. It's really socked in and cloudy, hazy, foggy, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Going to keep our fingers crossed. Summer tries, or spring tries to raise its head, but then winter comes in and slaps it down just a little bit, so we're kind of in that weird weather. But it's in the 50s, but with the wind blowing, it brings it down into the 40s. Not conducive to good walking around weather. And the air quality hasn't been good either. So we're going to continue doing the 3D printing stuff. Eudalanus says, yeah, it's like Sam's Club or Costco. Here, you have to have a membership. Some places have memberships. You can go in and pay a little bit more. Yeah. Ladamus says, we buy food in bulk sometimes, so it's actually okay online, but I haven't been to a physical store in years. Yeah, honestly, we just don't go that much, so I don't. That's another reason why we'll cancel our Costco membership. We'll do that. We go to the open air markets, which is on every day that ends in a 3 or 8, so they call it 3-8 market. And you have local vendors, local farmers, so we get fresh produce, so that's really good. And then we'll go on the military base, and we'll get our meats and things like that because those are cheaper on the military side than they are on the Korean economy. So we kind of pick and choose where we shop. But other than that, it's pretty good. Thomas says it was 80 today. 80. Are you in Florida or California? 88. Wow. That's going to be wild. We're going to be going to the Philippines in a couple of weeks. So it should be pretty warm, so that'll be fun. But yeah, we're about an hour and a half south of Seoul, near Pyeongtaek, close to the military base, Camp Humphreys. So it's overall it's pretty good. We will get snow, but not like the other areas of Korea. So we're like in this pocket to where we don't get a lot of snow. Other places will. It'll get hot in some places, but we don't get as hot, so it's kind of like in that perfect little area there. So Eudalanus says, you're in the Carolinas. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Yeah. Fun. Gotta love that. Let's see. What else do we got going on? I think that's about it. I am working on a couple of different things. Where is that? I'm thinking about going to RepRap in Japan. So there's a possibility of that. And RepRap is a 3D printing conference festival. They got a bunch of makers, vendors, and things like that. This will be the second year that it's been held in Japan. Last year was obviously the first. And they more than double the size, or more than doubling the amount of attendees and people that are going, that are saying that they're going to go. So we'll take a look at that. There is the RepRap, and that is going to be 30 and 31 May. So we're thinking about going to that and checking that out. So, and yeah, it's not too far away from the Haneda airport. So there's that. I think we can get this in there. So big 3D printing festivals going on over there. So that's going to be in May, the end of May. Yeah, end of May. And we'll just come back from Hawaii. So we'll check that out. So yeah, they're looking at having 3,000 plus visitors, 97 booths. So we got a few more booths, 29 confirmed sponsors, 2 times the venue size compared to last year. So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes. And I think that'll be kind of cool for the channel. You know, go check out some 3D printing stuff, go to Japan, spend a couple days, eat some yakisoba or whatever. I think that could be interesting. And yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting journey. So we're going to try that. Hopefully we can do that, but that's what we got in the near future. So in 2 weeks, Philippines, then Oahu in May, and then the end of May, hopefully we can go to Japan and hit up RepRap. And then later on in the year, I don't think we have any plans on going anywhere else. We'll just stay in Korea. We also got some stuff that we got to do in Korea, so we'll be busy this year. And I think we need to get a new refrigerator, so there's that. That should be good. We'll see how it goes. Got some other stuff going. Like I said, on the camera view, like that camera view there is a YOLO Live camera. And so I'm thinking about getting another one of those for a top-down view. So it'll kind of cycle through the side view, and then we'll have a top-down view when I paint. So hopefully that'll work out, and see how that goes. George says catch some sumo matches. That would be interesting. I would be up for that. They should have a lot of printing styles there. Yeah, RepRap. We'll see how that goes. A lot of 3D printing. Prusa, I think, is supposed to be there. Exhibitors. Let's see who. We can take a look real quick. I didn't even check that. So let's see what we got. YSK Lab, Xian Lab, Kozusha Lab. Okay. Prusa. We're gonna have Prusa there. Hey, that'll be worth going. Gear, a lot of Japanese companies. So TAC Lab, Toma Works, all of these I have no clue about. CNC machine, that'll be interesting. Spin Tech, like a 5-axis, that's a big one there. So yeah, so a couple of vendors I've noticed, or I know, but the majority of them, nah. Hero. Hendrix. I don't know why that sounds familiar. Let's see, what else do we got? Nothing's really jumping out at me, aside from the Prusa and maybe one or two others. So yeah, that'll be kind of interesting. At least Prusa will be there and be able to check that out. And there's probably a couple other companies that have some machines. Maybe that Franixis digital fabrication machine, 3D printers. Those guys look familiar for some reason. Jantech Engineering. Let's see what their details say. Okay, there you go. Let's see if we can translate this. Google Translate. Creators Germany. That's where I thought. Material testing, build strength evaluation, electrolyte plating and surface finishing. Yeah, those guys look familiar for some reason. George says maybe they could show off that rapid gel print. Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Is that kind of like the Prusa being able to print silicone? I think I saw something like that they were going to be able to print silicone through their machine. Let's get back to Prusa. Prusa, where you at? Prusa, let's check this out and see what they look like. A little quick translation. Upgraded Prusa, made my own 3DP with leftover parts. Oh, okay, that looks like somebody who just... So that's not really Prusa. That's a Prusa Frankenstein machine. Okay. I don't know. Maybe, I don't... So that's not Prusa. That's just Prusa parts, and he made his own thing. I don't know. I would have thought there would have been more big guns there. But we don't have Creality, we don't have Bamboo, we don't have Prusa. These are all like individuals. Individual, nonprofit, EDU. So a lot of individuals. Individuals. I don't know. I thought RepRap was supposed to be like this big, huge thing where, lots of 3D printing companies. Let's see. RepRap USA. Let's see what we got here. There's RepRap. Is it Colorado? I think. Of course, I lived in Colorado. Rocky Mountain RepRap. That's it. So let's take a look at that. So the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival. That's and I used to live in Colorado, but I didn't get into 3D printing until after we leave. So, let's see. Attractions, competitions. Attractions, and because look at this, yeah. And they're going to have an index there. And they're going to have gloop. They're going to have filament. 3D printing nerd, Edge of Tech, 3D Musketeers with Grant. That would be cool. So we've got all these cool makers. Maker's Corner. But we just don't have a lot of that in Japan. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Japan. Maybe not. That changes things. That really changes things. I don't know. Maybe we won't go to Japan for RepRap because I don't see any companies, which is weird because, and granted, Japan RepRap is only the second year, but do you think somebody from Creality, Anycubic, FlashForge, Bamboo, Prusa, somebody would have shown up from some company. Kitty Tech or something. Elegoo, with their Centauri Carbon, maybe they would have showed up. It's not like China's far away from Japan, and no companies are showing up there. None of the big companies, or even the small companies for that matter. Snapmaker, things like that. That is just odd. That is really odd. I would have thought there would have been some big companies there. But that is not the case. Unless they're going to be late entries. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, what else? Do a little quick translation. Individuals, 3D multi-axis printers, 5-axis 3D printers, slicers that we make for them. Let's see, what's that one there? That talks about homemade 3D printer. What is that one? Multicolor printing with the A1 Mini. I'm just not. I'm not feeling it. Honestly, I'm not feeling it. Let's see what this company says. That is, they're selling digital skills class for elementary and junior high. No, we don't want that. Our lab in which we use 3D printers with kids and teaching. Okay, not that. It doesn't look good. I love making things with my 3D printer. Okay, that's all. I don't know. I'm not getting this. We're building a CNC desktop milling machine. Okay. These are, I don't see any big or medium size or even small companies that are in this. Let's see, what is that? Hero, our upgraded Prusa Mini Plus. Really? I'm just not feeling that. Wow. These are my prints. Okay. Let's see that. What does that say? I'll be exhibiting cute printers. Yeah, I don't see any companies on here. Well, wait a second. Maybe this one? No. Support tools. Dynapin. What is that going to be? Reusable supports. Yeah, that's not going to. I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't know if I'm going to go to Japanese rep wrap. maybe go check out the rep wrap. I'm just not feeling it after seeing the attendees that are going to be there. It seems like all individuals with no big companies or medium-sized companies or anything. I don't know. Go to Japan, or you might get a machine or two to check out. I honestly, I don't think so. These are like individuals that are building their own stuff. It doesn't look like rep wrap in the United States where you have everybody there. So go figure. I leave Colorado and then I find out rep wrap is in Colorado was a huge thing. Of course, I didn't find out about 3D printing until later. So what do you do? What do you do? I don't know. Anyway, maybe we won't go to Japan. Maybe we'll just kind of hang back here. We'll do our own thing. We definitely got a lot of stuff to do, and I can save some nickels and dimes and get a future second printer. We'll see how that goes. So we got Swedish Forge in the house. Sweet. Yep, we're almost done. We're going to call this good because I got to get some breakfast. But for Swedish Forge, there is our guy, and we did some edge highlighting on him. And as you can see, some little silver along the edges and things like that. Kind of up the ante a little bit. And we'll come back later with some other shading and stuff like that to try to create some more depth and break up some of all that vast color that we have there. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. So yeah, interesting. I don't know if I'll do rep wrap. Japan rep wrap anyway. Okay, so that's going to be it. I think we're good, and we've got some stuff to do. Like I said, we've got some errands to run and stuff like that, and yeah, weekend's coming, so hang on. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. That would help out the channel a lot. And then, yeah, Sweetie says, sounds good. See you next time. You as well, also. And for those of you who want to contact me, there's my email address, official thevariedlife@gmail.com. Bunch of people buy coffee, link in the description if you want to do that. But the like and subscribe would be the best thing that you could do. Thank you all for being viewers, the regulars. You all are awesome. I really appreciate that. So peace to you and everyone else as well. And we'll see you on the next video. Okay? Peace. We'll see you.